Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling a fascinating new development in AI, one that addresses a challenge that I think we all probably encountered at some point. I mean,
hmm
have you ever been frustrated by just how little AI, especially chatbots, seem to remember? Like their memory is the digital equivalent of a goldfish.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very common pain point, and I think it really gets at, kind of a core limitation even with these really advanced language models, especially their ability to really hold on to information and then recall it when you're, having like a longer conversation or reading a longer text.
It's true. It's like they can write you a sonnet, no problem. But
Yeah.
then if you ask them about something you were talking about 2 minutes ago, it's like starting from scratch.
Exactly.
So today, we're diving into some really cool research about MemoRAG. And this is a system that could be the memory boost that AI needs, that it's been waiting for. It really tackles this whole, forgetfulness issue head on.
Yeah, and it does it in a way that I think is really interesting because it actually tries to mimic how our brains deal with memory. You've got these LLMs, these large language models, and they're really powerful, but they're also they've got very short attention spans, I guess.
Yeah, like their working memory is overflowing constantly.
Yeah, constantly. And so it makes it really tough for them to hold on to those important details from earlier on.
It's like trying to, I don't know, write a novel on a sticky note. You just run out of space.
Exactly. You run out of space and you can't go back. But that's where MemoRAG comes in. So MemoRAG introduces this idea of memory tokens. And you can think of it as like taking all those like scattered thoughts and then like compressing them into a form that's just much more manageable and organized.
So instead of that overflowing sticky note, we're talking about a system that can actually retain and then recall information from, like a massive database, like having a mental library card catalog or something.
Exactly. It's like having a card catalog for your brain. And I think another thing that makes MemoRAG really interesting is this dual system architecture. You can almost think about it as like a tag team operation going on.
Oh, I like where this is going. Okay, so tell me about this AI dream team. How's it work?
All right, so you have your first LLM, and this one's all about speed. So it's fast, it's efficient, and it's really just zipping through this entire database, creating a global memory map. So I always think of it kind of like, when a search engine is indexing like the entire internet, it's kind of doing that, but on a much deeper level.
So it's making like a roadmap for the second LLM to fall.
Exactly. You got it. So the second LLM, this is the one with the finesse. This is the one that's, the Hemingway of the group, the wordsmith, if you will, that can actually take that very specific information that's been pinpointed by the first LLM and then use that to craft the response. So it's going to be relevant, it's going to be coherent, it's going to directly address whatever you are asking about.
Okay, so this two-pronged approach, that's what lets MemoRAG go beyond just simple keyword matching. It's actually understanding the intention behind what you're asking.
Exactly. And I think that's really key because, we were talking earlier about these limitations of LLMs, and a lot of times they can get tripped up because they're just looking at the words themselves. But with this, it's not just about remembering the facts, it's about understanding the nuances of like what you're actually trying to get at.
And it's such a game changer when you start thinking about those more, I don't know, those more open-ended questions, the kind that we as humans, we ask all the time. But that can really trip up AI.
Totally. Like if you think about, you know what I mean? Like when you're trying to get a chatbot to help you with like a complex customer service issue or something, and it just keeps asking you to rephrase it.
100%. Or even, let's say you're doing research for, you're writing a paper or something. You might start out with a really broad question, like, what were the key economic factors that led up to the Renaissance? Something like that.
Right. And a traditional AI might give you a bunch of facts about that time period, but it wouldn't necessarily be able to put it all together in a way that's really meaningful or useful.
Yeah, I wouldn't understand the connections.
Exactly, exactly. But MemoRAG, because it can hold on to those different pieces of information and then, like we were saying, make connections between them, it could actually say, okay, well, these were the key factors. And then this is how they interacted with each other, and this is how that led to the conditions that made the Renaissance possible. So it's kind of like, that phrase, seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of just giving you a list of all the trees.
It's giving you the whole picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's so powerful about this. It's not just about like information retrieval. It's about knowledge synthesis. It's about taking all those disparate pieces and then actually making something, cohesive out of it.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah, and the paper actually gives some other really cool examples of how MemoRAG can kind of outperform traditional AI in places where it usually struggles. Like, for example, imagine you're trying to go through, I don't know, years of financial data, maybe to try to understand market trends.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right, it's a lot. But MemoRAG would be able to connect the dots between all those different reports. It could pick up on patterns, it could spot anomalies, things that would be really, really hard for a human to do, even a human who does that for a living, or even a traditional AI.
So it's kind of like having an AI analyst right there by your side, helping you make sense of this mountain of data.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's not even limited to numbers or anything. Like, think about what this could mean for fields like, I don't know, medicine or law, where you've got people poring over research studies or legal precedents.
Oh, absolutely.
It could potentially analyze all of that, make connections, find insights that no one's ever even noticed before.
It's like giving those experts a superpowered research assistant so they can really focus on the big picture stuff.
Totally, yeah. And that actually kind of leads to what I think is maybe the most exciting aspect of MemoRAG, which is how it could totally revolutionize the way we interact with technology. Like, the researchers, they actually talk about this vision of lifelong conversational search.
Yeah, now that sounds like something straight out of science fiction. I'm picturing like a futuristic movie.
Right. But like, imagine, right, a digital assistant that actually remembers every conversation you've ever had with it, every question you've ever asked it, every document you've ever shared. I mean, think about it. It could actually build up this really deep understanding of who you are, what you're interested in, even how you learn best.
So instead of constantly having to explain yourself, start from scratch every time, it's like you have this AI companion that's learning and evolving right alongside you.
Exactly. Like, you guys are growing together. And the things you can do with that are just mind-blowing. Like, think about personalized learning, customer service, even just like entertainment.
Oh my gosh,
You
yeah.
could be recommending books and movies and travel destinations based on like actually knowing you, not just some algorithm, but like really knowing your tastes.
It'd be like having like this personalized team of experts that you could consult with, and they'd be able to like guide you through this whole universe of information, but it's all tailored to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even just about convenience. I mean, it really is about making things so much more personalized and efficient in a way that I don't think we can really even imagine right now. I mean, imagine if, your AI assistant could actually start to anticipate what you need before you even ask. Yeah, like, oh, I know what you're about to work on. Here's some things that might be useful, or here's who you need to talk to.
And this could be huge for education. Like, can you imagine students having AI tutors that are personalized? Like the AI remembers how they learn best and adjusts, what it teaches and how it teaches it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about personalized learning, right? Where it's like every student's going at their own pace, and if they need to circle back to something, they can, or if they want to dive deeper into something, they can, it's really catering to how each person learns best.
It's really incredible to think about all the possibilities, but I don't know. I mean, I have to imagine that there are some challenges too, right? Like building an AI that can accurately remember and then use all this information. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, MemoRAG is still really new, so there's definitely a lot more work that needs to be done, like in terms of making sure that it's accurate and that it can actually handle huge amounts of information. And then also, this is a big one, making sure that it's not like perpetuating any existing biases that are in the data that it's learning from.
Right, right. Because it's like with any new tool, we have to be really careful about how we use it and what we use it for.
Totally. And I think that's why it's so important to be having these conversations and doing this research in the open, where we can all kind of be thinking critically about these things as they're being developed and, making sure that things like ethics and transparency are at the forefront.
Yeah, it's a process, right? It's not like a one and done thing.
Exactly. It's a journey, for sure.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive for today. A huge thank you to our expert for joining us. This was so fascinating.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey into the cutting edge of AI research. And we hope that this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, given you some new things to ponder, and we'll see you next time.